to revenge with Lyra.
My mom, dad, and sister were getting ready to fly to the Maldives. They told me, only close ones are going, you stay home. I stayed silent and walked away. But when they returned, Mom handed me documents for a loan of 10 million taken in my name. I just smiled and showed her the recording from 1:03:05. She froze in horror. My name is Elena Cross, I'm 27. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. The day they left for the trip, I watched them from the doorway. Matching suitcases, designer sunglasses, the whole family glittering under the sun except me. We'll send you pictures, my sister called. I smiled, nodding, hiding the heaviness under my ribs. I wasn't angry yet, just tired. I'd spent years cleaning their messes. Unpaid bills, overdraft fees, forged signatures, just until payday. But that week something inside me shifted. I started checking. Quietly. Methodically. I logged into my credit account and froze. A new loan. $10 million. My name. My signature. Copied perfectly. And the guarantor? My father. The same man who used to say, Elena's our safety net. I didn't cry. Instead, I turned on the voice recorder on my phone and slipped it into my pocket the next day when I visited their bank branch. I asked questions, collected names, even recorded the manager explaining how the parents provided verbal consent. Every word documented. When they returned from the Maldives, bronzed and smug, Mom dropped the folder on the table. You'll handle the payments for a while, right? You're the responsible one. I looked at her, smiling for the first time in days. Of course, I said. But before we talk about that, I opened my phone, tapped the recording, and skipped ahead to 1 hour 3 minutes and 5 seconds. Exactly where the manager said, yes, Mrs. Cross confirmed she was acting on Elena's behalf. The sound filled the room like thunder. Mom's face drained of color. Dad's fork clattered against his plate. What is this? He demanded, though his voice already trembled. Proof, I said calmly, setting the phone down. Of fraud. Identity theft. You know, the small stuff. Mom's fingers gripped the edge of the tablecloth as if she could pull the whole situation backward in time. Elena, stop exaggerating. You always take things too far. My sister, Chloe, rolled her eyes. You're so dramatic. It's just paperwork. We'll fix it. Paperwork that gives you 10 million, I replied. And gives me prison time if I don't. For years this was the family dynamic. Me, the responsible one who kept her mouth shut. Them, the charming trio who used kindness as currency. I used to believe silence was survival. Now it just felt like self-betrayal. Dad straightened, adopting his boardroom tone. You wouldn't call the police on your own parents. Think of what that would look like. I already did, I said softly. And they told me to document everything. The air thickened, heavy as wet cement. Mom whispered, you'd destroy your family for money? I looked at her and almost laughed. You already destroyed it for money. Chloe pushed back her chair, muttering something about calling Uncle Greg their family lawyer. I stood slowly gathering my things. Oh, don't bother. He'll be too busy testifying. He was CC'd on the fake paperwork. Dad slammed his fist on the table. You're bluffing. I leaned in close. Try me. For the first time in my life, their power didn't scare me. Their approval didn't define me. Their manipulation didn't reach me. I'm not your safety net anymore, I said. I'm the bill that's come due. Mom's eyes widened. Elena, what are you going to do? I smiled faintly. What you taught me, protect myself first. And then I walked out, letting their silence follow me down the hall like ghosts. By morning, the entire city felt sharper. Every sound, every light, every memory. I hadn't slept, but for the first time in years my thoughts were clear. The voice recording had power, but power meant nothing without precision. I sat at my kitchen table, laptop open, reviewing the bank documents line by line. Dates, stamps, signatures, all forged but perfectly executed. They didn't just take money. They built a web around me, assuming I'd stay too scared to cut through it. I wasn't scared anymore. When I met with the investigator at the Financial Crimes Unit, she listened quietly, brows furrowed. You have all this evidence already? She asked. I nodded. And I'm not filing a full report yet. I want to know my options. She studied me for a long moment. If you go public, they'll lose everything. Their credit, their business, maybe even their reputation. Are you ready for that? I swallowed. They were ready to ruin me. So yes. Back home, I stared at the mirror in my hallway, the one Mom gifted me when I moved out, saying, "You'll always see us in your reflection." For years I believed that curse. Now I realized it was optional. I didn't see them anymore. I saw me. That evening, Chloe texted, "Mom's freaking out. Dad says you're making a scene. Please, can we talk like adults?" I typed back, "We could've. 5 years ago." Then I took a deep breath, forwarded the voice recording in loan files to my attorney, and hit send. The email whooshed out of my drafts like an exhale I'd been holding for decades. For the first time, they weren't the only ones in control of the narrative. By Monday, their panic had evolved into strategy. Mom called first, her voice syrupy sweet, the same tone she used when she needed my signature for just a small favor. "Elena, honey," she began, "we can fix this quietly. Family doesn't need lawyers. Let's meet and talk like civilized people." I glanced at the folder open on my screen. "Sure," I said evenly. "Bring every document you forged. That'll be a good start." Her voice cracked. "You don't understand. We didn't mean to hurt you." "You meant to use me," I interrupted. "And you almost succeeded." When I arrived at their house that evening, it looked like a crime scene pretending to be a home. Luggage from the Maldives still sat unpacked in the hallway. Expensive souvenirs unopened. My father stood by the fireplace, staring at the framed family photo where I looked 12 and invisible. He didn't greet me. "Your mother's health is fragile," he said. "Do you want to put her through this stress?" "I want accountability," I replied. "Something you've avoided your entire life." Chloe appeared from the kitchen, her tone sharp. "So what's the endgame here, Elena? You want revenge?" I shook my head. "No. I want truth on paper." Dad sighed dramatically. "You always think you're better than us." "No," I said. "Just freer." I pulled a small envelope from my purse and placed it on the table. "This is the official notice of investigation. The Financial Crimes Unit will contact you for statements. You'll have to return the money before the hearing." Mom gasped. "You filed it?" "Yes," I said quietly. "And I recorded this meeting too, just in case you forget your words again." Her hand flew to her mouth. "You wouldn't." I looked her in the eye. "I already did." The silence that followed wasn't just fear. It was realization. For the first time, they knew I was no longer theirs to control. By Wednesday, the story had slipped through the cracks of their polished facade. Someone at Dad's company leaked the news. A quiet family dispute involving financial misconduct. The whispers spread fast. Mom texted me in panic. "Do you have any idea what you've done? Your father's reputation is on the line." I replied simply, "Then maybe he shouldn't have signed my name on his loans." Ethan, my colleague and closest friend, found me pacing in the office break room. "You okay?" he asked gently. "I should be," I said. "But they're unraveling in public and it feels hollow." Hollow. "I thought justice would feel like victory," I admitted. "It just feels like truth finally stopped lying." He nodded. "That's what healing actually is. It's quieter." That night, I drove past my parents' gated neighborhood. Their house lights were off, an unfamiliar stillness hanging in the air. For decades, I chased those lights, the illusion of belonging. Now they felt like a flickering sign from a place I'd already outgrown. The next morning, the investigator called. "Elena, we've confirmed the forged documents. The loan will be voided and your record cleared. Your family will be held financially liable." For a long second, I couldn't speak. My fingers trembled slightly as relief settled into my chest. Not triumph, just peace. After I hung up, I opened my journal, the one I'd kept since college, and wrote, "I'm not the victim of their choices anymore. I'm the author of mine." Later that afternoon, I posted a short video to my private business page. Just a quote over soft piano. "Silence doesn't protect peace. It protects power." The clip went viral overnight. And for the first time in my life, people listened, not because of my last name but because of my voice. By Friday, the mask was gone. Mom showed up at my office without an appointment, sunglasses hiding her swollen eyes, her tone swinging between desperate and defensive. "Elena, you've made your point," she said, voice trembling. "We're ruined. The bank froze our accounts. Your father's board is demanding his resignation." I stood calm but firm. "You're not ruined. You're just facing consequences. She took a shaky breath. We're your family. You can't just abandon us like this. I didn't abandon you, I said quietly. You walked away from me years ago. Every time you called Chloe the successful one, and treated my achievements like accidents. Her lip quivered. We loved you the best way we could. No, I replied. You loved control. You called it care. For a moment I thought she'd lash out again. Instead she broke. Tears spilled beneath the designer frames. We were scared, Elena. Your success made us feel small. That one sentence cracked the air open. I'd waited my whole life for honesty, but now that it came it only made me sad. I can't fix what you chose, I said. But I can make sure no one else does this to me again. As she turned to leave, she stopped at the door. You sound just like your father, she said bitterly. No, I said. I sound like myself for the first time. After she left, Ethan came in holding 2 coffees. You okay? I nodded slowly. Yeah. I think I just witnessed my mother's first real truth. He smiled softly. You're rewriting the ending, you know that? I looked out the window, watching sunlight scatter across the glass towers downtown. Maybe not the ending, I said, but at least the story's mine now. For the first time that felt like enough. 2 weeks later I received an invitation that nearly made me laugh. Family dinner. Let's talk things out. It came as a group text from Chloe, who hadn't spoken to me since the Maldives incident. Ethan read over my shoulder and raised an eyebrow. You're not actually going, are you? I think I have to, I said. Not for them, for closure. When I arrived, the dining room looked eerily identical to the night of the confrontation. Expensive china, forced smiles, silence pretending to be civility. Dad stood to greet me with his old politician's smile. Elena, you look successful. I am, I said. You still pretending? He flinched, the first honest reaction I'd seen in years. Dinner was stiff. Mom avoided eye contact. Chloe kept trying to lighten the tension, her laughter too bright to be real. Finally, Dad cleared his throat. We've had time to think. Maybe we all said things we didn't mean. I set down my fork. You forged my name for $10 million. You meant it. The table went silent again. I'm not here for apologies, I said. I just came to say this, I forgive you but I won't forget. Forgiveness isn't a welcome mat. It's a locked door I'm choosing to walk past. Chloe blinked. So that's it? You're just done with us? I nodded. No screaming. No revenge. Just distance. Dad tried one last time. You're making a mistake. Maybe, I said standing. But it's mine to make. As I walked toward the door, Mom whispered something so faint I almost missed it. We lost you long before the money. I paused only long enough to answer. No, Mom. You never tried to keep me. And with that I left, leaving behind everything I used to beg for. A year later I stood on stage at the Women in Finance Summit, the city skyline glittering through the glass behind me. The award plaque in my hand read, Excellence in Ethical Leadership. The irony wasn't lost on me. When I finished my speech, the applause felt different from anything I'd ever known, not for surviving scandal but for standing in truth. Afterward, reporters surrounded me with questions. How did you rebuild after such a public family dispute? One asked. I smiled softly. By realizing I wasn't rebuilding, I was building for the first time. That night, I hosted a small dinner with my chosen family, Ethan, my mentor, and 3 interns I'd recently hired from disadvantaged backgrounds. We toasted with simple glasses, not crystal. To what's ours, Ethan said. I laughed. To peace that doesn't need an audience. When everyone left, I walked out onto the balcony, the city lights stretching beneath me like constellations. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. We're sorry, Elena. Mom and Dad. For the first time I didn't feel anger or longing. Just calm acceptance. I typed back. I wish you healing. Then I silenced my phone and looked out at the skyline. My skyline, built without their approval, without their shadow. Downstairs, a delivery box waited. A package from a scholarship recipient. Inside was a small framed quote. She believed she could stand alone, and so she did. I placed it on my desk beside the photo of my team. No empty spaces. No ghosts. Just people who showed up. As dawn broke, I whispered to myself, this is what freedom feels like, not loud, just steady.